Right.
The flock is
Yo, we'd like to welcome you all back to the Flock is HOTcast as always. Repping the O for show, baby. You got myself, Bistro Brinson Stromy. You got my man Axel. I'm not gonna butcher my man's last name. We got and we got my boy Jared West out there in Virginia. My boy Deron and my man Axel up on the East Coast of NY. I'm down here in the Lone Star State in Texas. Of course, we are dealing with the vast craziness of the coronavirus. And we're going to start it off with a little something, kind of impacted by that. My man Axel brought a big, very good question. Well, two questions, actually. I'm going to let him ask those, and then we're going to answer them in the best way possible. So, again, welcome to the Flock is HOTcast. Let's get this thing rolling.
All right. My question was, do you think we're going to have a season this upcoming season? And if we do, which position was affected the most by the whole corona situation? And Jared, you could start it up with this. I'm answering it.
So, I've gone pretty back and forth on if I think we're going to have a season or not. I'm going to be honest. Right now, I don't think we're going to have one. I don't think there's going to be a college football season. The cases are spiking. I don't think it's going to get much better. There's more people not wearing masks and all that stuff. So I just don't think it's going to happen this year. At least not on time. I will say that, not on time. I think if it does happen, maybe it'll happen. I think they were talking like January, February, somewhere around there. What position would be affected by that the most? Honestly, I'm not really too sure. Maybe just like tight end, just because the tight end position we already are kind of thin at right now. At least until the guys who we have committed for this class come in. But as of right now, like I just don't really see a position where we don't have at least like a decent amount of depth at it. I know a lot of people would say maybe offensive line, but honestly, I feel like people are really sleeping on this offensive line. So that's definitely how I feel about that. What about you, Deron? What are you thinking?
Man, that's a tough question. Probably not on time is probably the safe answer, or probably the smart answer. But I think it's going to be, especially for Power 5 schools. I think it's going to be. Now, if you ask me smaller schools, probably not, because the school doesn't depend upon the sport as much, as far as monetarily. Let's keep the facts. Let's keep it 100. Let's be one. You know what I mean? You need the Alton Stadium to be packed, in order for everything else on campus to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're in the Big Ten, you need the big house to be packed every Saturday in order for, if you look at where that budget goes, you look at itemized receipts. Honestly, most schools don't make money. Most athletic departments don't make money because so much of what's made in football covers everything else within the school. So when you actually look at the end of it, most schools are lucky even when it comes to honestly looking at everything. So it's, the sport is that important. I'm gonna be probably the most obvious guy here and say the quarterback position is probably going to be most affected, just because you don't have somebody coming back. Herbert's not back. Shuck, how you say his last name? Shuck. I can't pronounce it. My bad. Shuck, all right. Shuck. It's a lot of hype around him, but he hasn't had to be put in a pressure pack situation yet. Anthony Brown was coming in to transfer to try to compete. He hasn't been able to get that opportunity yet. I know they're supposed to be adding weeks or whatever, but how much of that is going to go into be given a fair shot versus starting to prepare for that first game with NDSU and then Ohio State coming up. So trying to use those extra 2 weeks to add to the extra preparation for the games 1 and 2. So, just being able to get that camaraderie, the guys around him to understand whoever's going to be that leader, to get used to that voice, used to that cadence, because it's those little things that help you get that extra tenth of a second off the ball, to help you get that extra, okay, if the coverage looks like this, I know where he's going with the ball, and I know where my receiver is going to be. So I just kind of think that the quarterback position and solidifying that, and with the guys knowing who their number one is probably going to be most affected. Bistro.
Well, I've been back and forth. I'm not sure if it's going to be a season at all, fam. Woke up today to see a small area where I'm from is trending for having a on the lake. I am from a small town in Niles, Michigan. We got less than 15,000 people. In about 20, 25, 30 minutes northeast of us is a place called Cassopolis, and there's a lake out there called Lake. They had a huge party out there, fam. It was at least 100 people over there. No mask, in sight, in the water, drinking, all of that. Man, people don't want to stay home. Now, people don't want to listen. People saying their rights are violated. Okay, fam, if your rights are violated, you go outside and you catch corona, who do you blame? Who do you look to help you because you went out there and did what they told you not to do? It's like the child that keep putting their hand on that stove. That stove is hot. So when you burn your fingers, what you gonna do? You gonna come to me to try to make you feel better. I told you take your hand off the stove.
Told you.
Facts.
Should have done it.
Man, it's so simple, but we make it complicated because we are selfish human beings. We want to do what the hell we want to do, and we don't care about what anybody else got to say.
Facts.
It goes to the fact that our money is being compromised, or our health is being compromised, or somebody telling us to do something to better help us. We don't care because they telling us to do it. We don't like to be told what to do. Well, fam, if you didn't get told that this was happening and you just start dropping dead, what you gonna do then? You know, they done came out with a new slogan. We need to learn to deal with it. Well, hey, we need to learn how to deal with a lot of things, huh? Like, be real about it, fam. Like, I'm always for being 100, and I love stepping on toes and making you feel uncomfortable, bro. Because the thing is it's happening right here in front of our eyes. You know, and we talk about safety. We talk about the safety of the players. We talk the safety of the coaches and the people that are putting their life at risk daily. You know, we're talking about the hospitals. We're talking about police officers. We're talking about firefighters. And then we want people to go out there and play sports and entertain us, man. But we want to treat the people that entertain us like they expendable.
Expendable, right.
They're not expendable, fam. You know?
Yeah, they are human beings.
Exactly. Now, in the sense of who does it affect the most, Ron took mine in the sense of the quarterback, but we'll touch that a little bit later, you know, discuss a little quarterback battle. But I'm going to go with linebackers on defense, though. I'm going to go with linebackers on the defense.
Okay.
The reason why I say that, we lost Lamar Winston. We lost Troy Dye. So you lost two true leaders on your defense that played at least 3 years. We got Noah Sewell. We got Justin Flo.
Justin.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Jonathan, the brother. Hopefully we get him to come quack too. But you know, we got Justin Flo. We got Jaden Navarre. We got Jackson LeDuc. We got a lot of young guys coming in. And I expect some of those young guys, especially, you know, we know about Noah and Justin, but I think Navarre and I think LeDuc might get some snaps this year too, depending on what happens. But you also got to look into the sense of learning the defensive playbook, you know, learning your keys. You know, it helps when you got Slade, and then you got Matuatia. I think that's the same person. I think is it
Isaac Slade, Matuatia.
Isaac, yeah. You talking about Samson New?
You got Samson New. You got Samson New and you got Isaac Slade. And you got, you know, two experienced linebackers that have played a lot. You got Mace Fona coming back. You got, you know, Jackson coming back from a terrible knee injury last year. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people because he's very athletic. The kid was an All-American coming out of Colorado. So we got a lot of depth at linebacker. It's just all about, you know, getting people accustomed to playing with each other, you know, especially getting the young guys caught up to speed on the playbook because Avalos is coming, fam. Like, people finna learn real quick. This Mario has brought SEC style mentality to the Pac-12, and he's done it with his defense. And you got to think about it, fam. When has Oregon really just been in the top in all categories, turnovers, points per game, yards per game? Like, when has Oregon ever just been at the top in the country in defense to where we can say that, hey, fam, we got a defense like Georgia, Alabama? It's not just our offense, fam. Our offense is finna take off. I'm not questioning Shuck. I'm not questioning the offensive line. I'm not questioning the receivers or running back. I think our offense is going to be fun.
The NCAA is caught up in a tough predicament. Because, I mean, like, they can't open school. I mean, they can't close school and tell football players to keep playing football. And, you know, with different state having different ways they're approaching this, I don't see Oregon traveling. I mean, or should I say, sorry, USC traveling all the way to Alabama or Oregon flying some other places to keep the season going. Do I think we're going to have a season? Yes, because, I mean, to be fair, it is about money right now. You feel me? And back to your point, Deron, you saying, like, football keeps the whole university running and all that. So I agree with that. I mean, the way I think it's gonna play out, I think they're just gonna do it in conference games. You know, they're gonna cancel the Ohio State game. They're gonna cancel North Dakota because I mean, if USC can't play Alabama, then it won't be fair. You feel me? So I think the way it's gonna be is everybody's gonna play a conference game. Then conference champions go to like a mutual place. Then they all play each other. Like those 14 play each other. Now, to what position group it affects the most, I gotta cheat, man. You know I go for the obvious answer. It gotta be the quarterback. You feel me? I mean, it's it's like it's the first time Shuck is gonna have serious playing time. You know, Anthony Brown came in to challenge him and all that, but you know, Shuck having the chemistry with Pittman and Devon and all that, yes, it helps, but at the same time, you do need consistent snaps with your offensive linemen and your receivers, getting your timing right and all that. So do I think Shuck is ahead right now? Yes, but do I think he's still behind, like as a whole group, the offensive, new offensive scheme too? Yes. So definitely the quarterback suffers the most.
Okay. Going off of what Axel and Devon has touched there, we're talking quarterback battle. And it's been a big topic, especially in Oregon, with the transfer of Mr. Anthony Brown. Again, welcome to the flock, Mr. Brown, coming from Boston College. I do know the kid started at least, 2 years for Boston College?
Yeah.
Kid can throw.
All the years. He started as a redshirt freshman, I believe.
Oh, as a redshirt.
3 years.
Okay, so he started 3 years. Okay, excuse me. 3 years started at Boston College. The kid can run, the kid can throw. The young man. I'm sorry, the young man can run, the young man can throw. He brings a dynamic of experience to the quarterback room at Oregon. And it has a lot of people wondering, what's going to happen, especially with what Coach Joe Moorhead wants to do. He likes to run. Mario likes to run. Moorhead has also explained that his quarterback needs to be able to run, and he's going to run his quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this to my man, Deron. He's an outside person looking in. I'm going to get the outside perspective. He is a Florida State fan. He is wearing a Florida State hoodie at the moment. If you do not know, colors on his hoodie.
That Cali flag behind you is bullshit.
Hey, it's all love. My man is an Oregon fan through me vicariously. He's caught a little bit of.
My 11-year-old, a big Oregon fan. He almost got kicked out the house during that Rose Bowl. I'm just kidding.
I'm converting the run to Oregon fan right now.
Hey, we working on that, bro. We working on that. Go ahead, bro. Give us your spiel on the Anthony Brown and Tyler Shuck, and then we also got a couple freshman quarterbacks coming in. So tell us what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough because of this whole thing. Honestly, because of what I've seen Anthony Brown do in the ACC, he's played well against basically every ACC team. He's played well. Whether the team has been good enough to make that leap, you know what I'm saying, and beat Clemson's and teams like that is one thing, because it's Clemson. But I've seen what he did at Florida State, so that's all I'm gonna say right there. So I think without this situation, I say he would be the starter just because of everything that he brings to the table. A lot of in-game experience. It's just those intangibles, those little things that you can't teach. He would be bringing to the table from day one. From that perspective. Now, with everything that's going on, it comes down to trust. As a coach, you have to know who to trust. And I think that's where Shuck right now has the advantage. Is that the coaches kind of know where he's been. He's had his head in the playbook. They whether through blowouts or whatnot, he's touched the field. Players, living with somebody, gives you another level of trust. So players have to be able to trust you on the field. So living with them, hanging with them, doing those different things, it's those little intangibles that lead to leadership. And I think for right now, I think that's for Shuck, at least initially, is going to be the starter. I think that's where we see him being the starter now, and it's basically his job to lose. Now, if he comes out, let's say we do have a season and he comes out and he starts to struggle these especially against North Dakota State, now it's going to be, he's going to be on the seesaw. He's going to be teetering to let Anthony Brown sneak into there because they can't go down 2 games. I'm not saying they're losing the first game. I'm just saying, let's say he struggles, they definitely can't go down bad against Ohio State. So he leaves that door open. But I'm going to say Shuck for starters, just because the situation leads to trust, and he's the most trusted right now.
For sure. Mr. West, no relation. What you got for me on this
2020.
Anthony Brown and
West for 2020.
Tyler Shook quarterback situation? We're not gonna discuss that, bro. I done saw a
That's
Tom
not-
Cruise video today. I can't talk about that.
Yeah, the
Mr.
Flock
West,
is
what you got?
HOTcast does not endorse Kanye West political campaign. Not yet, anyway. Anyways,
Oh my gosh.
so I think Shuck's gonna be the guy personally. I think Shuck again, like it does really come down to trust. And I think another big thing would have to be the fact that, while we do have a new offensive coordinator, one who, knows when to not run the ball on a 4th and 1 in a big game. Anyway, now that we
He's having
have an
flashbacks
offensive
again.
coordinator,
Whoa.
regardless of the new
Do we
offensive
have health
coordinator,
insurance?
we are still going to have the same style of offense. It's not going to be that much different.
Right.
So Chuck already has the advantage of knowing the playbook for the most part because Cristobal is very, very stern on what he wants to do. He wants to take the football and run it right down your throat. Now, I think Moorhead is going to right down the throat like that. That's the throat. This is the ball. Bam. I think Moorhead is going to definitely open up he's going to definitely throw the ball more. Hopefully we'll run routes that are good. I think, maybe some decent routes, we can actually throw the ball some. That'd be great. I'm sure there was a lot of times last year when I was like, man, if we could just complete a nice 10-yard pass, that would be better than winning the game, honestly. But yeah, I think Shuck is going to be the guy going forward. I don't doubt Brown's talent by any means. I want the best guy to start. I want whoever is going to lead us to the playoffs, lead us to a possible national championship. That's who I want to start. Right now, I think it's going to be Shuck. Because he's got wheels too. He can run. He can definitely run. And obviously Brown is faster. But I think Shuck's got it. I think he's going to be a good ass quarterback. I think he really, really is. I don't think he's going to be like some Joe Burrow level stuff or anything. But I think he's going to be a solid QB, and I think he can definitely take us somewhere. But it's all about giving him the support that he needs. That's the biggest thing. He has to have the wide receivers, the tight end, the line. He's got to have the running backs, and honestly, I feel like he's going to get that this year, if not next year. What about you? Axel?
I keep jumping on and off. Brown, Shuck. So,
Yeah.
I catch myself watching a couple of YouTube videos, seeing what Brown was about at Boston College, starting his as a redshirt freshman. So anywhere you start as a redshirt freshman or a true freshman, you're no scrub. So, but at the end of the day, I still think what Deron was saying with Shuck and trust and all that, I still think that's the reason why Shuck will start. Coming in, Mario has been very consistent about saying this is his team. He came in as a starter. He left as a starter. And, Newman was going to come here. Newman was thinking about had mutual interest with Oregon. But the fact that Newman went to Georgia just tells you that Mario told him straight up that this is a 50-50 shot, no 60-40, just because you're a grad transfer and all that. So with that being said, again, his chemistry with Pittman, Devon, guys that are going to have huge years and all that. And back to your point, Jared, him having a couple years under, Mario and with the new Moritz scheme and all that, I think Shuck's going to start. But, it's tough, man. It's really tough, though.
Tomorrow, I'm going to say Brown is going to start.
Hey, man, tomorrow I might hit you with some
that's fair.
reason
That's fair.
why
I'd say the same
start,
thing.
But Shuck will be the starter. I definitely see why you guys would say Brown because Moorhead's been saying like I want my quarterback to run and all that. But at the end of the day, Shuck will get you 5 yards. Brown might get you 10 or 15. But at the end of the day, I still believe Shuck is more accurate than Brown. Brown was starting to step out, like having his big season before he got injured and all that, like career highs all across the board, touchdown interception ratio. He was like starting to become more of a thrower, but that too, coming back from an injury, I don't know, like I would have to see more of Brown to really give him a one up against Chuck and all that. But yeah.
To your point about running too, I think to be a successful offense in college football, you have to have a quarterback that runs. Just now, I think that's just you
But
have to have a quarterback that has some kind of mobility to him. Because
but
look what Oregon did when Herbert started running the ball. It's almost like they should have
no, no,
done
no, no,
that in
no,
a
no,
few
no.
other games this year.
No,
Anyway,
I definitely understand what you're trying to say with the running the ball, but how bad? Like, are you looking for 5 yards to keep the defense on their toes, or are you looking like for a home run hitter? If you're looking for a home run hitter, then you're looking at Brown. But if you're looking at 5 to keep you on your toes, then hit a slant like with the RPO, then you're looking at Shuck, in my opinion.
yeah, and that's a good point. I'm just looking for the ball to go farther up the field. That's where I'm at right now with QBs
Looking
running
for
the ball
first
over
downs.
these past 2 seasons.
But it's and again, back to your point, you're saying Moorhead, you're still gonna see kind of like the same thing with a defense like what Oregon has. You're pretty much gonna be playing like field general, like just managing the game, no interception, just keep moving it down the field, and just trust that your defense is gonna hold it down, type of thing. With Graham coming out and saying what's the name of the DBs now? NIA.
Oh, NIA, yeah.
And no interception, or
No,
what is it?
Nothing in the air.
nothing
Yeah,
in the
nothing
air.
in the air. Yeah. So you got a defense like that believes in the hype, and that's all about the hype, and that they're gonna be have a chance to prove it with this upcoming season coming along. Playing Trey Lance, Justin Fields. You gotta have just a clock manager pretty much, and yeah.
Hey,
But
All right, Brenton.
I'm gonna jump all the way in this conversation. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm expecting to do a quarterback situation.
Ooh.
Now, the thing is being able to manage both quarterbacks and what you can do with them within the offense and how the offense operates with them in there at that position. So, you talk about a home run hitter in Brown, and you talk about 5 yards in Shuck. I'll take both. The thing is, you have to be an effective runner. You don't have to be the fastest dude on the field. If I can get 5 yards to get that first down and extend to the next plays where I can possibly have a deeper pass or more explosive play, it don't matter to me as long as the ball is moving toward the end zone and the team is gaining momentum and they are keeping the defense off the field and giving the defense time to rest so they can go back out there and get the ball back to the offense so we can score again. Now, with the thoughts of what Moorhead and Mario wants to do, yeah, they want to run the ball. I mean, Moorhead coached Saquon Barkley, one of the greatest college football running backs of all time. We've seen the dude go crazy. He took that down to Mississippi State with a quarterback who was 6'6", 230, basically Justin Herbert. Fitzgerald, unfortunately, the dude had a lot of injuries. The dude could ball. The dude can throw.
Fitzgerald was nice.
A lot of injuries. The program itself, Mississippi State wanted some sort of quick turnaround, I guess, and they weren't happy with what he just did, so they let him go. And I was the first person to say bring Moorhead to Eugene. First person. Because I knew what he could do with this offense. We talk about, explosive plays. We can have explosive plays. We're going to have the ability to have explosive plays because teams are going to play the run and teams are not going to expect us to be able to pass. And because we're going to have two quarterbacks who can throw the ball and who can both move the chains with their feet, you don't know what you're going to get. As long as they both can execute the offense within what is called and don't try to do more than that, we good.
Back to your point of saying offensive plays, man. A lot of people don't know that Moorhead and Joe Brady, which was the passing coordinator for LSU with the historic run that they just had. Joe Brady was with Moorhead at Penn State too. So there's gonna be a lot of fun deep shots or like what's it called, big plays for sure. But at the end of the day, I definitely agree with, managing. It's going to be more managing the game and letting the defense win it out for you.
Well, I mean, you have one of the top defenses in the country. You're going to expect your defense to be able to win games for you. Yes.
Exactly.
But what's Clemson and LSU doing? They got defenses too, but they putting up 40 points a game still. National championship game was still at least 40 points scored.
Your defense kind of becomes your offense too, and that to your
yeah,
point.
But we learned in the Auburn game, if your defense stay on the field too long, they can get gassed by a running game. That's the thing. You don't want that to happen, and so that's why you get a Joe Moorhead. Yeah, Brady was with him at Penn State, but Brady developed. What you got to understand is what LSU took. LSU was always lining up in the I formation, with a running back like Leonard Fournette or the running back they got in Washington.
Guys.
Miles was going to recruit
Guys.
dual threat quarterbacks. You're recruiting dual threat quarterbacks to come run a pro style offense, and your quarterback can't complete a 10-yard hitch at Alabama, or you can't complete a 15-yard post at home to extend the scoring when you need it against Alabama. Like, that's the problem that they had at LSU. They had two receivers right now that are both on the Browns who went first round, and they still quarterback wasn't the best, but they still made it out the first round.
You know what?
This is the thing is what LSU said we'll do. What we've been doing, we've been able to run on people, but when we play Alabama, we can't run on them. What is Alabama's weaknesses? What is Alabama's weakness? You spread Alabama out, you take them out the box to where they play the run all day long and say, okay, I dare you to throw it, but you can't because we can get to your quarterback. You take that and you spread that out, you make them play in space, you can beat Alabama. What did LSU do when they went to Alabama? They had Alabama confused and shook.
I mean, although, like, I definitely agree that the football game now is becoming more of an air raid type of game where offenses, like, with the rules changing and receivers being protected, and, you know, you can't even breathe next to the quarterback. I do see, like, what you're saying with, like, air raid taking over. But at the same time, you know, comes the playoff, or NFL or college football, you still got to pound it. And that's what I believe that Mario understands.
Balance is key.
Yeah, exactly. With meshing Mario now with Moorhead, like a offensive genius in Moorhead, and a guy in Mario that's trying to make his identity physical. Win or lose, you're going to hate playing Oregon because they're going to be physical on defense and wear you out on offense too. And it's just this year is going to be fun to watch for sure.
You want to know something funny?
Go ahead.
If I don't know what his prospects looked like when he went into the transfer portal, but if that team that's going against Oregon behind you, Brinson, if that team was on his list, yeah, that might have been the best situation for him.
Wait, who?
Wisconsin.
Oh,
Best for who?
Anthony Brown.
Oh. Well, I mean, I think their quarterback coming back. I think
that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
He was
that's
a
what
freshman.
I'm saying.
That quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know, but I think a Big Ten school, whether it would have been a Penn State, Wisconsin, or Michigan, would probably been a better suited for him and for his skill set and where if going pro than Oregon. He could have plug and played a little bit easier into those systems because of the Boston College system. Then I think he would have done. He would have done at Oregon. So I don't think COVID would have hit. Nobody knew COVID was going to hit. Let's not make that a point. But I think he would have been a little bit more plug and play in those systems than the Oregon system.
With the Boston College system, the way it is, yes, it's like I formation, but their route concept is a spread formation kind of concept. You feel me? So. Yeah. The transition to Oregon, I feel like it is going to be easier because now, like, instead of like putting Brown in a system and trying to like make the system work, if Brown do start, he's going to shine because of the system too, and the system gets the best out of his abilities and all that. So if he does start, it's going to be a win-win, and it's going to be like one of those Vernon Adams type.
There's no loss. There's no loss in this scenario.
Exactly. Yeah.
I get what you're saying, Axel, but this is what Deron's saying. Wisconsin's head coach used to be the offensive coordinator back when they had Russell Wilson. So, man, if you look at what they did to us in our defense, and we still won that game, and that's because we forced turnovers and made plays. But him as an offensive coordinator, Chris is one of the top offensive offensive minds in college football, and he runs kind of a similar offense to Boston College where your running back is your focal point, but he knows how to use his weapons. I mean, you got to remember the dude that returned the kickoff for us, he started giving them the ball on offense.
Yeah, Cephas, I believe.
Yeah.
You got it. He understands. That's the same with Moorhead. As long as you know what your weapons are and how to use your weapons to where you can exploit them to make the other team look terrible.
Right. But my other point to it, the reason being is because he's in the Big Ten. However you feel about the Big Ten, Wisconsin is always in a primetime game. Yeah. More than likely, they're going to be in the conference championship game.
Or
against them, or close to it, playing against Ohio. So he's going to have a lot more opportunities to be in front of the big stage. Whereas, not saying Oregon's not. That's not before everybody come into the comments talking crazy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we all know that there's an East Coast bias.
For sure.
We know what it is, and we know what it is in the Big Ten. We literally saw Russell Wilson become an NFL prospect because of the Big Ten, making that transition from the ACC. We forget he was at North Carolina State, making that transition from the ACC to the Big Ten, to where he got to play more and more on the stage. It would have been the exact same type of transition. He was never going to go nowhere with Boston College, no matter how well he did.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same how I feel about Newman too. That's why he left Wake Forest. But
yeah,
go ahead, Axel. Go ahead and make your point. Go ahead and make your point, Axel.
No, I actually was gonna throw you a curveball. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Since
Always.
You just touched up on Newman. Now, do you think what Kirby Smart just pulled with pulling JT, and JT might even play right away? Do you think it's fair game, or do you think that's kind of slimy?
JT. Who's JT?
JT Daniels.
JT Daniels.
From USC.
JT got to sit out a year. Newman's a senior. It's a 1 year.
No. What's it called? I thought he was going to petition to play right away.
It wouldn't be smart for JT to petition to play right away, first of all, because Newman just transferred in there. And so if Kirby Smart is selling JT Daniels to petition for this, Kirby Smart is dumb as hell.
I saw.
I don't put that past Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart let we all know what happened. Never mind.
He already is for letting
That's wrong. That's wrong. I mean, it's a conversation now.
You let him
like
for Jake Fromm from State Farm. Are you shitting me?
Because what I saw online was that JT, with the new NCAA rules, that you could transfer for one time and use your and play right away type of thing. So JT's going to try to petition for that. So
see, this is where JT's messing up at. One, you don't know what type of offense Georgia's running. And the offense they gonna run for you may be totally different from what they want to run with Newman. Newman is coming from Wake Forest, which is kind of a spread offense concept, dual threat situation, because he can run and he can throw. I've seen the kid play. The kid can ball. The thing is you're going to Georgia. When's the last time Georgia really had an effective quarterback that was able to take them to that level? We saw Fromm. We saw Fromm manage games for them and get them there because they had talent on defense everywhere around him. Stafford was the last time you really saw Georgia have some quarterback that was explosive.
And they got that ass beat by Alabama.
I don't know. When Eason was playing,
that's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. You asked the question about Kirby Smart, but this is who Kirby Smart is. That's like asking the zebra to change his stripes. We saw Eason and then Fromm, and Eason had to leave. We saw Fromm and Fields left. Now we're seeing Newman and Daniels. He brings in people in the bet. He lets them compete it out, and whoever wins, and whoever sorry for your luck, sit over here with a clipboard. That's what he does.
Just to make a point, then after that, Brinson, you could go ahead. One, with the Eason situation, he kept on getting injured. So from beating him out for it, because you're not going to keep on switching quarterbacks, and Fromm was being consistent. With Fromm and Fields even went on record and saying Fromm is probably the smartest quarterback that he's been next to, and it's an honor to learn from him and all that. So obviously having a game manager like Fromm, where he just hands off and play action, throws it, all that. That was what Georgia's identity was. It's run first, like Alabama was, run first and have a quarterback that can make the third down throws type of thing. So, I mean, it was a fair battle, and Fromm came out on top from what they were trying to do with Georgia.
Right. I'm not denying whether Fromm was the right guy for the job. What I'm saying is we know Kirby brings in talent and he lets it compete it out, and the best man wins. That's all I'm saying. So what Kirby Smart is being who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to bring in all the talent that he can. He's going to over recruit like everybody should. I'm not telling you not to. If you crazy if you're not going to over recruit nowadays. You have to over recruit, let it play out, and you live with the new way of recruiting quarterbacks. To me is the transfer portal. You let it happen, and then you let the transfer portal happen, because that's the only position that you really only want to have one person. Every other position can usually be rotated.
Speaking of the transfer portal now, do you think any of Oregon's quarterback is going to hit the transfer portal, Jared?
Not right now. No, no, I don't think they will. I don't mean, what's his name? The guy that we got from Washington last year.
Who?
Forgot his name. The guy he was his dad went to UW.
Oh, Cal Million?
Yeah, I could see Millen transferring. I think I could see him transferring. I think Butterfield and Ashford are going to come in to compete. Honestly, with what I've seen with Ty Thompson, though, they could be the odd man out once Thompson comes in. I think he's going to be a dude for Oregon. Yeah, I mean, right now I don't really see anybody besides Millen transferring. It's like just straight out. Like again, even if Brown was to beat Shuck, I don't think Shuck would transfer just because this is Brown's last year anyway. So unless he got beat again the next season, which I don't see that happening. Yeah, I would say that I don't see anybody transferring except Millen. I think all these guys are going to come in. They're going to want to compete. The big thing with Robbie Ashford is that he's also going to be on the baseball team. So even if it doesn't work out with football, you got baseball. So just depends what sport he cares about more personally. Yeah, I think Millen would be the guy to transfer. I think everybody else would be good. Yeah, the baseball money.
Back to the Georgia situation with Justin Fields, bro. First of all, Justin Fields didn't want to make himself look bad leaving Georgia. You gotta look at it.
Yeah, facts.
Homie had an off the field issue with a baseball player, and I'm pretty sure the baseball player and Fromm are pretty cool. If you don't with Jake Fromm, like that whole thing just played out in front of everybody's eyes, and I don't think people ever made that connection.
It's like, hey.
Now, this is the case for Fromm. Fromm had what happened with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott came in, made the right plays. The quarterback ahead of you, unfortunately, got hurt. And you step into the situation and you make it work like clockwork. He was able to manage the game. Georgia had 2 stud running backs. They rolled that to a playoff victory. The next year, Georgia gets out there to the freaking Sugar Bowl, and they don't even know they're in the Sugar Bowl. They get beat by Texas. Nobody expected Texas to win. Now Texas think they back. Then here
we're back to 7-5 next season.
Like
so much shade on you.
Right.
He's a defensive-minded coach. Kirby Smart comes from Alabama, just like Pruitt. When you look at these defensive-minded coaches, you got to understand. He's a defensive-minded coach, understanding about his offense. What does he want his offense to do? Kirby Smart's trying to lean on his defense because he thinks he can run the ball down everybody's throat. So Georgia possibly could have an LSU situation going on. Are they going to try to develop a quarterback? Because the thing is, you bring in Newman. Okay, we had Justin Fields. Justin Fields left and went to Ohio State and became an instant Heisman Trophy candidate because the kid can run, the kid can throw. And Ohio State's known for letting the offense be about its quarterback, and they're known for using their quarterbacks in their strengths. And the type of offense that Ohio State runs is not the same type of offense that Georgia runs. So what does Georgia do? You bring in JT Daniels. JT Daniels was at USC. USC had a pro-style offense, was terrible. Then they switched over to an air raid offense. Now, they want USC to go back to pro-style offense. So what does Georgia do when you bring in JT Daniels? Does JT Daniels even have the opportunity to line himself with the playbook to get into a rhythm with the receivers or the running backs or what you're trying to do or your pass protections or your audibles? That's the thing. And when I tell people like with Herbert, when I say be quarterback friendly, fam, know your quarterback. What can your quarterback do? If I'm the quarterback coach for the New England Patriots and I got Cam Newton, I know one thing Cam Newton can run. I know another thing. Cam Newton can throw the ball too. Cam Newton need a little bit of time. Cam Newton might need a little bit more coaching as far as getting his decision-making in the ball out quick. And that's fine. Every quarterback has something that they have to work on to get better at. I'm not saying Cam Newton's a bad quarterback, no, but I think Cam Newton went to the perfect place, the Patriots. You gave him a great quarterbacks coach because Josh Daniels is a hell of a coach.
So your point about I do think a lot of coaches focus on their scheme, and it's like, this is what the scheme is, and I'm just going to plug any player in that scheme. What I think the best coaches do is take their scheme and make it about the player and, like, show out with their player. And I feel like as soon as Alabama started doing that with Tua situation, you're seeing more quarterbacks now, and Bryson Young wanting to go to Alabama, and a couple of receivers now are going down south to Alabama and all that. So I do think as soon as you start making your scheme, like you have an identity and your scheme is for the player, then that's also what you see with the flock now with Oregon. Now you're seeing guys like Troy Franklin, K1, Ware Hudson, like guys that, 4 or 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't have guessed that would even consider Oregon, but they're going to Oregon because obviously seeing the Chip Kelly era, then seeing what Mario's doing right now, is just the right time, right place with all that, though.
It's a perfect storm because Mario knows how to recruit Oregon. And this is something when you got a coach that comes in and they say tap into your resources. I'm in Oregon. First of all, fam, we got mountains, we got ocean, we got one of the most beautiful views ever. Like the school is known for its business management and broadcasting. Like if you can sell that to the kid and the family members, look, we're not just here about football. We academics. We making sure our players are straight on the field, off the field. Yeah, coach out there marching the first weekend. They really start doing the Black Lives Matter protest. Like all of that stuff, they understand. Things are not just for show, but people are still going to hear and people are still going to see it. But that it's coming from a genuine place.
Right.
That's why when you talk about Mario, they say Mario's genuine. That's why you got players want to take pictures with Mario.
Yeah.
Y'all realize? No, you're right.
Where he's been and what he's doing. Like, go look at Mario's track record when he was coaching at Bama. Go look at the players Mario brought in. Mario got at least 5 first-rounders that he's recruited personally to Alabama. Amari Cooper, Quentin Williams. That's just to name a few. Not to mention the hell of an offensive lineman talent that the dude coached.
South Florida.
Warmack. Like, fam, it just, when you have a coach that can come in and tap into the resources of the school and the surroundings, you have this.
To that point too, I feel like what a lot of Oregon fans are doing right now is just like, oh, we're grateful for him, but hopefully he doesn't leave. But with
He's not going anywhere.
The feeling you get with Mario is Oregon's not a stepping stool. It's not like, okay, Oregon right here, then after that I'm going to the NFL or I have other plans. It's being there, like, I saw that he tweeted on Twitter, you gotta be where your feet is at, something like that. And it's just like being like dedicating yourself and being there and like investing yourself to the plans and to the culture, and not just like seeing a couple 2 years, 3 years down the line and who am I going to target, what other places I'm going to be at. And you get the vibe like that. You got coaches like Aaron Feld that didn't go to Alabama when Alabama was looking for strength and conditioning. Yeah, the strength coach. So I mean, all that is just like what Oregon's building is definitely like trying to be top tier teams like the Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama of the world.
And to the back when we were talking about the QB battle at Oregon, Brenton brought up a really good point with Jim Moorhead. That hire cannot be understated. That is going to be a huge hire. Thank God we didn't hire John Donovan. So since we have been talking about QB battles for quite a while now, I figured we might as well go in and start talking about some recruiting that's going on around the country. For every Duck fan out there, you know that we just picked up a top 300 wide receiver. His name is Isaiah Brevard, and he's pretty good, I guess. He's number 140th player nationally. He's the number 25 wide receiver in the country. Big guy, stands at 6'4". Currently weighs 200 pounds. How are you guys feeling about this pickup by Oregon?
I love it. I mean, I feel like it's like a Jawan Johnson type of pick. And if you watch a couple of his highlight, dude can block, and that's Mario's love those big dudes that could block and all that. So, I mean, I do feel like he's going to be like one of those red zone type of receivers, and
which we desperately need.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, him and Kawan Ware Hudson definitely complements each other.
Mm-hmm.
You could even have like one of those jumbo sets where you put those two and go crazy with it.
Do some Stanford shit that they would always burn us with their 6'9" tight ends. But how you feeling about this pickup, Deron?
I like him. I mean, from looking at the tape, he's definitely a red zone target. He's definitely a big body that you could use. Talking about the Stanford receiver, I think that's a pretty good comp. What's old boy that just went to the Eagles? Can't think of his name,
Jalen
but
Reagor.
he's
Jalen Rager.
huh?
Jeffrey?
No. Maybe it's not the Eagles. Either way, never mind. Disregard that last statement. I think he's
Didn't even
good.
happen.
I think Arciega or something like that. I can't think of his goddamn name.
Oh,
Whiteside Arciega or
yeah,
yeah. You could put it up there, and he had a great catch radius, and I think that's where we can see Isaiah Brevard having that great catch radius, just being able to kind of get anywhere, just throw it up there, and he's gonna make a play. So first thing, and the funny thing about or the one knock on spread offenses is once it gets in the red zone, you can't get nowhere from the
Yep.
20 to it's a great 20 to 20 offense. So with being able to have a great offensive line that can push, and then also having that red zone target, that's our Darby. I mean, Jalen Daniels lived off of Darby last year at Arizona State. Throw it up there,
Okay.
let that man make a play.
Nah.
I think that's
I
that's
like
what's gonna
that
happen.
because I mean, seeing his high school takes, man, it's basically like jump balls left and right.
Yeah.
Like
Throw it up to
And you
Moss.
need
makes-
those.
he
You need
makes-
those
he-
guys at the end of the day. You have to have those guys on
Right.
your team.
he makes the 50-50 ball 80-20 from his high school tapes. It's just mossing people,
That's a good way to
one
put it.
hand and all that. Feet, great foot,
Right.
hand-eye coordination, all that.
Clemson won a national championship off throwing the jump ball, so I really could care less what people got to say.
Bam.
Won it with a true freshman throwing jump balls. So, I mean, speed kills, yeah. I mean, explosive plays are freaking lovely. But when you can sit here and have a true freshman just throw jump balls to 6'4" receivers,
That's what I'm saying.
stop it.
I do have this little disclaimer I have to say. For people that think Robbie Ashford is going to just come in and be a starter mid through the year and all that, I don't understand that. And I want you guys to try to communicate with me and is it only me or do you guys feel the same way? I don't see a true freshman enrolling late coming in on a potentially playoff team, college football playoff team, and just starting. How you guys where do you guys sit with that?
I haven't heard anybody even say that he was going to be
Yeah,
a starter
I don't
halfway
see
through the
that.
season.
I mean, yeah, it's all.
I mean, we know a guy, Brinson. I know a guy named Kenny who's very high on him. Shout out to Kenny. Hope probably drinking a claw right now. He's pretty high on him at the moment. But I think Ashford is not really like a safety blanket kind of quarterback pickup from last year. I think it was a lot of people were kind of like, why are we getting a quarterback? We just got Jay Butterfield, top 100 player. But I think he's an experimental guy who can definitely fit the offense that we want to run, especially Moorhead's offense. Because when we got Butterfield, we still had Arroyo. Thank God that's over with. But I think Ashford definitely fits the mold for Moorhead, but I don't see him being the starter. Again, I want the best guy to start. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't see it personally.
We'll go ahead, Deron, first.
I don't know nothing. I don't know too much about him. So
okay, this is my thing, fam. Is people have to relax on these freshmen coming in and starting right away.
Yeah, we gotta put the pipe down.
Back in the day, you had development, you had seniority, you had players, that were already there, that have been through this, that know what's going on, and you have to give them time. Not everybody's going to come in at that same level. Not everybody's going to be a Kayvon Thibodeau. Not everybody's going to be a Noah Sewell or Justin Flo. Ashford is a special talent, yes. You still have to cultivate. You still have to mold him. You still got to let him learn the offense. He still got to, get a rhythm with the receivers, get a rhythm with his tight ends, his offensive line, the protections, the audibles, the ins and out of the plays that are being called. All of that has to happen at the same time. And so I can't just say halfway through the season he's going to pick it up and the coach is going to roll with him. No. You got a whole season to see how Tyler Shuck improves, Anthony Brown improves. You never know depending on the season. And somebody could take that step mid-game.
And to your point with freshmen not starting right away, I mean, that's why Mario recruits the way he does. As in, if you're a junior, if you're a junior linebacker, he's going to get a freshman linebacker in the next upcoming draft. So when you're a senior or when you're out the freshman's a sophomore now and he could step in and there's no pressure or like have a year to be under Coach Feld and like build his body and get a feel for the college life and like learn the playbook and all that. So, you know, of course he loves though, like all that being said, he do trust his freshmen and, you know, 10 or 11 freshmen got solid playing time last year. And, you know, people are seeing that get their hopes up, but you know, I don't
we
think
definitely
like a
have
position.
to. Some people have to realize, like just like Brenton said, you know, not everybody has that elite raw
Yeah.
talent like Kayvon Thibodeau. You know, guys like Justin Flo and Noah Sewell. Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to see a lot of snaps this year. But you know, right off the bat, who knows? But they have a lot of raw talent that is going to make an instant impact to the team, without a doubt. Absolutely.
And so when you talk about the offense, you know, we're talking about Kyron Ware Hudson. We're talking about Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin 6'1", Ware Hudson 6'2". We got Brevard who's 6'4". They say he could possibly get 6'5". And then we looking at DTJ, my fault, Dante Thornton Jr., dude 6'5". So when you talk about that, we could potentially have two receivers that are 6'4", 6'5". And you got two receivers that are 6'1", 6'2". Now, think about this. You can have Troy Franklin in the slot. You can have Troy Franklin on the outside. You can move Troy Franklin around in the offense. You can move Kyron Moore Hudson around. You can move Thornton around. You can move Brevard around. You got 4 receivers. You can move and use them anywhere, any time because of the play call. That's what developing and understanding your squad is about. That's what cultivating development. That's what having intermediate passing games that you can run. That's why you have your little trinket plays you can run because you can move your guys around, especially there. And then you're adding in Seven McGee. So he can play running back and motion out to 5 wide receivers. Now he's a receiver, like in the case. Like you have all of those things that you can do as long as you understand what you're doing with the players you got.
Yeah. And I will say, one thing I will say compared on it as well is that we have to take in which you kind of touched on, is that we have to take into account position. There's certain positions that you can have depth. The reason you can play a Thibodeau is because you can sneak him in, you know, early in the season. You can sneak him in 2 and 3 plays here and there, depending on situation. You can make him a situational player. That way he doesn't have to think. We all know that not calling him dumb. I'm not calling any athlete dumb, but the less that you have to think and process, the faster you can play. And it's more instinctive. So when you could just put him in pass rush situations, you know, it's 3rd and 15, KT, go do what you do. And as he develops into a player, you could do that. Receivers, you could play 6 or 7 receivers in a game. It's nothing to play 6 or 7 receivers in a game. So some freshmen might get on the field. It's nothing to play 5 and 6 DBs in the game because of the spread offense. So some freshmen might get on the field.
Right.
You know, but in the one position, there's only one position that maybe an offensive line as well, depending on each spot of the offensive line. But the quarterback is the one position where you truly want one person on the field. You never, if you have to play two quarterbacks, you do it, but you really always want to just be able to play one guy. So that's why we see an influx. That's why I say the recruit quarterbacks is a transfer portal. So he's going to come out. So he's going to throw their name in the hat that you didn't get a hit, that you didn't get a chance to hit in high school.
And exactly, like, and that's another thing too, is teams are having to understand. Like, look at Kansas. Kansas has got a receiver, dude plays football and he plays basketball. I guarantee you the next year or 2, Kansas will be getting a decent quarterback. They probably will mess around and get a quarterback that's going to go to the elite level.
Yeah, they got the LSU guy there.
Yeah, Les Miles had to learn from being an LSU fan. Get out of that stubborn I formation offense. LSU can't run over Alabama.
Yeah, this ain't the 1990s anymore.
That is LSU's one issue is they can never run over Alabama.
Yep.
But as soon as LSU opened up that playbook, what happened? Alabama what's this? LSU All-American receivers, bro. They just had to get the quarterback in the system that could allow them to flourish in it. You kept trying to run the ball. Now you giving Leonard Fournette the ball 40 times a game on a handoff right and handoff left, toss right, toss left. You stop them 4 plays, you stop LSU because LSU can't bootleg. Quarterback can barely complete a slant.
It's just like when you play Madden, man. If you're just gonna keep run left, run right with me, and I just get to run sideline and not think about play action or you throwing the ball, then I'm just like I get comfortable. And any defense that's comfortable is a deadly defense.
Well, and the thing is Alabama's comfortability is playing in the box. When they tell you Alabama loves to have 7 to 8 men in the box, why do you think they got linebackers and D linemen going first round every year? Every year. You line up in the out formation, you're telling them, bring that 8th man in the box. We're going to try to beat you at your game. Why do you think the Brett Bielema didn't last long at Arkansas, fam? And I said that from the get-go. When he got hired from Wisconsin to come down to Arkansas, their Wisconsin offense is not going to work in the SEC because the SEC loves to play in the box. They're going to stop your run game and make you pass, and you can't pass. You can't. The minute you can pass the ball on Alabama, on Georgia, on Auburn, and control the game and still have that ability to run the ball, that's the balance. Fam, LSU had a running back that still put up almost 100 yards rushing. Dude went first round. Dude caught the ball out the backfield. Dude was like a bowling ball. He was a 3-star prospect. Like, it's all about how you use your players in situations. Situational awareness, yes, but then you also got to be aware of what players you have and what you're trying to do with them. LSU had 3 receivers that damn near had 1,000 yards, bro. I know they at least had 2 that did. Quarterback threw for 5,000 yards. I think the running back might have rushed for almost 1,000 yards, bro. So when you talk about the balance into it's that's the thing is what Mario had to understand from he made the adjustment faster than Saban did and faster than what Saban had to. What made Saban had to make that adjustment was Georgia and Clemson. That's what made Saban had to understand, okay, I got to open up my offense because Saban wanted to run the ball like Mario. Mario was his offensive line coach and they ran all over Notre Dame with Henry.
Running the ball, too, it goes deep, too, because, I mean, like, when I played in Pop Warner High School, I mean, shoot, if you're throwing the ball, I'm happy. But if you're running it from first quarter all the way to fourth quarter, by the end of fourth quarter, I'm tired. I don't want to tackle you.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
So it's not the worst thing, but balance, like you said, Brenton, is key, especially in a game like that. You always want to keep somebody on their feet.
And exactly, like, and if you look at the Rose Bowl, Herbert still had like 200 yards passing. He just didn't have a touchdown. That's it. No touchdowns. Washington State game, he had over 200 yards passing, just no touchdowns. We still won the game.
He just committed.
You know, that's it. If we would have opened it up more and say, okay, we in the red zone, we're not just gonna try to run it down your throat. We're gonna do some play action, let somebody come across on the drag route, Herbert hit him. Like, that's something they could have did, but they didn't need to because they could just run over everybody. But they didn't want to have to put the ball in Herbert's hands to where he had to make the throw because we just trust the offensive line to plow everybody. And it's going to come a situation like Ohio State. We're not just going to be able to just plow over Ohio State. They got depth at defense. They have depth on defense. Hell, look at the Ohio State Clemson game. The Ohio State running back had 200 yards rushing. They still lost the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that game with that.
But there's also coaching. Your quarterback's coach got to teach your quarterback. Fam, we scored on this play earlier in the game where the safety big and the receiver cut in front of the safety on the post and got a touchdown. We're going to call the same play, but this time if the safety's sitting there, the receiver's going to break it off for the corner. Your quarterback should understand and should know this. What Fields do, he gunned it for the first thing he thought was going to be that post that he scored a touchdown on earlier. And what happened? His receiver wasn't there. His receiver was on the left-hand side in the end zone, wide open. That's development, that's understanding, and that's reading. Would he have that situation at Georgia? In Georgia's offense? You know?
Been there.
Exactly. You gotta look at what Georgia's doing. Kirby Smart is depending on his defense, and that's fine and dandy when you have a defense that can stop people. But you shouldn't have to depend on your defense if your offense can go put you up 30 points, 40 points. Create that space separation. Take them starters out. Put you some young guys in there. Get them some more playing time. Why do you think Alabama always been good at having depth at every time they play? Because they was beating teams by running them over. But then when they got to it, they putting up 40 on dudes in the first half and letting the backups play. You know, that iron sharpens iron development. You got to get in-game experience too, fam. You know, and it's going to affect recruiting. You know, some players want to play early. Some players have no problem with sitting and developing and understanding they got to learn some things. There's two different mentalities. It's I want to play right now. Or you got that we. Okay, so I understand I can help us be better by sitting behind a sophomore or a junior for a year and a half, 2 years. Because halfway through my second year, the coach might ask me to switch positions because I can get on the field sooner. Or because the scouts see me, translating to this position, I might be able to go pro at this position. You got dudes that change positions all the time. And it's about helping the squad. How can I better get on the field to help the squad? Or how can I better help the squad be prepared for, their game that week? You never know. It's different mindsets and approaches to that. And it's about the players you bring in. What's up, Basil?
I do have a question real quick, and it's kind of off topic. So hopefully Jared can edit it out. With Xavier's thingy tweet, what does it mean? Sure ain't trying to go to league.
Well,
he's saying
probably
Oregon
talking
wide
smart to
receivers don't
somebody.
go to the league. That's basically what he's saying.
How did you guys get that out of that though? Like he just said, sure ain't trying to go to
It's
league.
a lot of banter in there because a Michigan fan said winning the Pac-12 isn't everything.
And then some Oregon fans were like, yeah, well, we won the Rose Bowl. And then Xavier goes, okay, well, they're not going to the league.
So, and this is my thing, fam, is you have players who look at the history of the school. Look at the recruiting that Tennessee and North Carolina's doing.
Wait, time out. But I mean, and I agree with your point. I just don't get why they focus on past tense. Like Mario wasn't here like 4 years. I mean, 5 years ago.
It's history, bro.
It's history.
Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Imagine if a coach how do you think Saban got Alabama to get back to where Bama was? Because
But the thing is though, if I'm a like what's it called? Let's say like my Pop Warner days, right? Getting recruited by some high schools. I'm not gonna look at a high school that had some wide receiver come out 20 years ago. I'm gonna look at what they're doing right now because right now it affects me, not like 20 years ago.
But who's going now though? But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be a smart ass. Who's going now though, as far as a receiver?
But the thing is, getting Brian onto the staff puts your step closer. If anything, too, you do want to have the mentality, okay, like I want to leave my legacy. I want to be remembered type of thing.
Because it's just no different than going to MIT for engineering. I mean, you look at the history. I mean, you go to, you know what I'm saying? You go to Syracuse for journalism. I mean, well, it's what it is.
Coach Jared, what you feeling about that one, bro?
I see Jabez Tanae went to Washington.
Yeah, Washington got a 4-star recruit.
Yeah,
probably
they
the
got
last
Tanae
one.
just now.
Probably the last one they're gonna get
hour.
this cycle.
He's probably a real 3-star. Wait,
well,
let me
not. I wanted to get back on track with recruiting. Yeah, because I thought that's what we were gonna close out with recruiting. So okay. I'll actually talk a little bit about that here.
I got you.
Wait for Brinson to get back real quick. Yeah, I'll edit this stuff out.
Yeah, but I just when you look at Michigan does have a history of putting people in the league of receivers.
And some
whether
kids
they
just care
do well
about
in the league or not, they have a history of it. And people do. I mean,
all right.
To get so one last little topic here to wrap up this episode, since we are going a little over time. I haven't been keeping up with it, but I think we've been streaming for quite a while now, or recording.
Yeah.
Just look at the top 10 teams right now, going from 1 to 10. Ohio State's sitting pretty calmly at number 1. They are 38 whole points ahead of number 2, Clemson. Ohio State's building a massive class right now. Clemson at number 2, North Carolina at number 3. Definitely going to come back to that in a second. Tennessee at number 4. Some team called Oregon at number 5. Hey, they actually just jumped to number 1 in the Pac-12. Hell, suck it, Trojans. LSU is at number 6. Those bum-ass Trojans are at number 7 with that guy Dante Williams, fucking Judas.
Y'all see me? I feel really shady right now.
Michigan at number 8.
Too, man.
Florida at number 9, and Texas at number 10. So we'll come back to that little North Carolina team. Mack Brown is building one hell of a class. They picked up the number 1 player out of Virginia, VA. My home state, Tony Grimes, 5-star guy out of Virginia Beach. If you look at North Carolina's class too, one of the most impressive things is that their whole class is from the East Coast, basically, like all from the DMV area. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I mean, they are really, really, really building a big pipeline here. This is usually where teams like Ohio State and Penn State clean up. Penn State picked up some pretty big defensive guys 2 years back. Ohio State has the number 1 all-purpose back in the country who's in Virginia. But North Carolina was able to snag Tony Grimes, and they're getting some guys from North Carolina
Right.
too. So how do you guys feel about this? Do you think North Carolina is a team on the rise? You think Clemson's got a little something to be worried about? Because they did lose just on a 2-point conversion play this season. Who knows what would have happened during that game had it gone to overtime?
I do have a question. How many players from North Carolina do they have on their team?
It looked like 10 or 11 of the 17
Yeah.
commits. That's a ton.
This is the thing, fam. Mac Brown coached at North Carolina before.
They have 15 players from North Carolina
This is true.
currently committed.
So, yeah, they're definitely locking their backyard.
Well, he left when he coached Texas, won the national championship with Texas. You had Ricky Williams, and you had Cedric Benson, and you had
Ricky, run.
Like, you had four of the most recent popular Texas football players in Texas football history. He coached them. Where Mac Brown messed up at FM is what I tell everybody. Mac Brown had this offensive revolution mindset. I don't know what he was thinking. Dude took the spread offense he learned from Penn State. When Penn State had Joe Pa that year, they won the Orange Bowl, and he took it to another level. Now, he thought he should go back to the old offense like they had in USC pro-style offense. Dude changed up his quarterback type, changed up his running back type, changed up his offensive coordinator, changed up his defense. And that's when Mac Brown started going downhill. Will Muschamp left to the coaching job at Florida. Will Muschamp fell off, ended up at South Carolina. Like, Mac Brown knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
He's got a coaching staff behind him at Carolina. I believe Gene Chizik is with him there. He's the defensive coordinator. Then you got his offensive coordinator. So he knows what he's doing there. He's able to recruit North Carolina. Hell, he almost beat Clemson. And his quarterback was a true freshman. So his quarterback's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. They've got talent. They got some talent last year, too. So he's doing the right thing, fam. I mean, it's Mac Brown. He's like, I wouldn't say he's Saban, but he's not too far from Saban.
Absolutely.
He would have won a national championship if Colt wouldn't have got hurt, really.
They would have won that game had Colt not been. Yeah. Without doubt.
That
just like they would have
boy
won the
Sam Howell is the truth, though.
Oh, yeah. I remember me and Jay watching the North Carolina game.
We were watching it waiting for the damn Auburn game to start.
Yeah, we were sitting there watching that game, bro, and the dude was just slinking. We was like, bro, this kid is bad. Like, dude was going to go to Florida State. Decommitted, went to North Carolina. I think that was a smart decision for him because he saw the field right away.
Ron
North Carolina was actually decent for me. North Carolina
I saw you just looking at something and you just go, he was going to go to Florida State. Then he went to North Carolina.
Don't remind me, okay?
Yeah.
Don't remind me. Me and my homie at work, we sat at work almost depressed for like half the day.
We just lost again.
Are y'all gonna get anything done today? It's like, did you not see what just happened?
Nah, with the whole Mac Brown situation, man, the best thing that happened was basically a win-win situation for him losing that whole Clemson game, because what it showed was we're not playing to tie, we're playing to beat you guys, beat Clemson. So what you're seeing is a lot of hometown kids saying, you know what, why can't North Carolina be the it team? You know, like, forget the top tier teams and like Alabama. Let's put on a show in our backyard, get our families to come watch us, and just do it right here and win. So what he's doing is just taking advantage of his pipeline.
I see.
Culture.
You're right. I see North Carolina. I see Clemson sliding within the next 2 to 3 years. And I see Carolina and, believe it or not, Miami. Yes, I'm a Florida State fan or whatever y'all want to call me.
Hey, they're at number 11.
And I see Miami. I know. And I think they're going to slide up. I think that's probably going to be the team that benefits most. It's going to be them or Florida. And you know how I feel about the Gators. But I think that those two teams are going to be the teams that benefit most from COVID as far as recruiting South Florida, being able to recruit the area of Florida with this dead period. And people forget Manny is a Miami guy. Most of his recruits, right, he's been able to lock down a ton of people from Miami-Dade and Broward County. Like most of his recruiting class hits there, especially that Miami Northwestern. And we know the pipeline that Miami Northwestern brings out yearly with talent. I can name 3 right now: Teddy Bridgewater, Amari Cooper, Levante David. And that's 3. from one high school. So and they have I think four. I think they might have offered 5 or 6 guys from that school, and 4 of them already committed. So, with that being said, I think Dabo's taking a lot of hits with all of the social issues that's happened,
Absolutely, yeah.
and former players even coming out talking about issues that have taken place on that campus that have not been resolved or that were not resolved, one would say properly or whatnot. So I just think that's going to kind of take a hit within those North Carolina, South Carolina areas, whereas, parents are going to be like, I don't want you playing for that guy. You know what I mean? Like, whereas, a couple years ago, they might have been like, yeah, go play for Dabo. Now they might be like, I know in Indiana, growing up, people were like, I don't want you to play for Bobby Knight. He might have lost out on, he did well. I'm not saying Bobby Knight was a great coach or wasn't a great coach. I'm saying that, you had a pot of parents that would be like, I don't want you playing for him because of how he,
Coach.
how he portrayed himself. So with a lot of this going on, I think Mac Brown's gonna be able to take advantage of it. He knows North Carolina well, so he can go right back in and understand, exactly where to hit. And he knows Virginia. People sleep on how fertile of an athletic ground Virginia is. From Russell Wilson, Cam Chancellor, Ronald Curry,
Michael Vick,
Iverson, Vic, the Vicks. You know what I'm saying? So who? Percy Harvin. I mean, JJ Redick in basketball. I mean, there's a ton of talent that has came from the Virginia area. And to be able to lock down Carolinas and Virginia, I mean, usually if you can lock down those and lock down South Florida, you have a chance to win it on the East Coast.
That's true. It's true for him.
My fault, Branson. Just before you go real quick, I do want to say, though, I do think Tennessee is going to drop a little bit. I mean, what they're doing right now just came out of nowhere. I mean, they're out recruiting Alabama right now.
Alabama jumped, though. They went from 42. They're at 12 now.
Yeah, but, I mean, all that being said, like, what, Tennessee's like 3rd or 4th?
Remember, we got like 1 5-star or something like that.
Yeah, they got 2 5-stars.
So with Tennessee, I mean, like when the year starts going on and all that, and they start losing a couple games, and hopefully, these recruits, man, they live out their dream and could go on some official visits and all that, and they see other places. Tennessee's gonna drop, and
they were top 10 last year, though. They were 10th last year.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a difference between being top 5 and top 10, though. Like, I'm not saying they're gonna drop all the way to the 20s. Like, there might be like 8, 9, or something like that, but I don't expect them to set that number 9. I mean, number 4.
UW in the nation, fam.
Huh?
UW jumped up to 28 in the nation.
Well, they just got their 4-star.
You better watch out. Also, this is a guy that apparently Bleacher Report claims that they beat Oregon. I've never heard of this guy. I'm not even saying that being an Oregon fan. I don't even know who this guy is, but it's being reported. Yeah. That they beat Oregon.
I looked him up when I saw a crystal ball for him.
There's an Oregon offer.
Well, Oregon sends out a lot.
Yeah, but it wasn't a committable offer.
And that's the thing is Oregon sends out fillers, bro. Like, we want to see if you're willing. Do you want to be a Duck? They're going to fill you out. Mario does an extensive evaluation thing, and so does his coaches. They're all on the same page. They want to know what you're about. And they're going to see if you're a good person on the field or off the field. And how does it tie into what we're trying to do as a program?
Yep.
So Oregon sends out 300 offers. Hell, Bama does too. People don't talk about how Bama sends out 300.
Top teams in the country are going to offer every kid they can. You
And
take every
The
shot.
only teams I don't see doing that is probably Stanford or UCLA, and it's based on their academic programs. So.
Yeah, but UW, they only offer what, 50 to 80 kids?
UW is known as in like the West Coast too, like for their
but my thing is, fam, is when you talk about offering 50 to 80 kids and you talking about offering 300 kids, when you offer 300 kids, you getting the cream of the crop. You offering these kids, but you still deciding on who you take. UW, they're only offering what they used to call as OKGs, our kind of guys. So they're looking at a particular set of players that fit into a certain creed of what they want as far as a UW player. Oregon, we just out here offering the best 300 kids. Hey, fam, you want to be a Duck? help us win the national championship for the first time in school history. That's what we're trying to do.
I mean, missing out on Tua, not offering him, shoot, I would hope
Don't
they
bring
would
that
switch
back up.
that.
Don't bring that back up.
That's Markel. That was
I wanted
Markel.
to forget that shit happened, bro.
That's Mark Helfrich in the Chip Kelly era of recruiting,
I think it was more of and obviously off the record, but I think it was more of a Scott Frost type of thing because like I remember him saying
It's hard
you
to
can't
recruit to Oregon.
Yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, I remember seeing
Have
this.
fun
and I was
recruiting
like,
at fucking Nebraska where there's just corn.
Oh, they actually
Good
just
corn. Come play here. Where's
nah,
Nebraska?
but see, you know, Nebraska has history though.
He's
40.
from Nebraska. He's from Nebraska.
He played quarterback.
He's
my
Nebraska
last
royalty. That's
my
different.
last thing. Expect, and it's not even a hot take. Like everybody's expecting that, but expect a lot of decommits, a lot of official visits, and a lot of places dropping and teams going up.
That's what's gonna scare me. With all the go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is Mario and the staff are using the virtual tours to the best of their ability.
Yeah, it doesn't scare me.
If they were able to get you on campus, it would be no different.
But I mean,
why it doesn't scare me there versus other schools like a Tennessee, like a North Carolina, like a Miami is because a lot of Mario's commits are not from Oregon.
Yeah,
they're not. Why it doesn't like phase most Dutch supporters. It's because you could tell on social media how they're talking about Oregon, like they're bought in. I mean, you might point out a couple, like one or two that's still like entertaining other offers, or like I just got this offer, or like, oh, let me hear about other schools. But for the majority of like 95% of the commits, they're like posting Oregon things, like rooting for each other and all that. So,
but I mean, I just think it's big that they're not there.
Yeah,
like they're not in. Nobody's around Eugene. You know what I'm saying? Like the Miami recruits, a lot of them are from Florida. You know, the Tennessee recruits, they're from the South. You know, like we talked about North Carolina, a lot of them are from North Carolina. So they haven't had a chance to really go anywhere. So if the dead period, being able to hold on to them when the dead period is over is the key.
I'll say this since we're about to run out of time too. What I'll say is that when it comes to like what North Carolina's doing, they're convincing kids to stay home because this is where they want to build a powerhouse at home. Oregon made the Cali flock 2 years ago. Those kids balled out. And this to me is why I think Oregon is going to be above USC for the years to come, because they're building a pipeline in Eugene. It's like, no, you don't go to USC to play college football. You go to Oregon to play college football. This is where Cali kids go. They don't go to USC. You don't stay home to play football in college. You go to Oregon because look what these guys are doing. Look at Justin Flo. Look at Kayvon Thibodeau, Mike Hale Wright, Mace Funa, all these guys. They're California kids who are going to Oregon. This is the perfect time for them to do it because USC is they got a great class going on right now. There's no denying that. Are they going to keep it though? Who knows? Are they going to keep it when they go 7-5 maybe? Who knows? But Oregon has already proved that they can show that these Cali kids can ball out. They're producing them better than USC was able to do it. USC is going to get kids in the league. Yeah, that of course. Like look at how many wide receivers they put in the league. But what did they do when they were in college?
True.
They got their ass beat by Ohio State and Iowa.
They just lost to Iowa, yeah.
And the beauty of that too is for it to start with Thomas Graham and Dede Lenore and Nick Pickett and like guys like that, and it's crazy. It's crazy for sure.
And see, you finna see a lot of issues with schools like Iowa because of how that whole situation with Kurt Ferentz conditioning coach coming out too.
Look,
like we're gonna have to play that for a whole nother show. We do appreciate y'all, Flockers HOTcast as always.
Y'all just remember, Corey Foreman's gonna be a duck. He's gonna be a duck, everybody. You got the headgear.
You really just put on this chain, fam?
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be a duck.
I lead Corso.
Be a duck, everybody.
Hey, man. Appreciate y'all watching this. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitter, Rivals Axel, RIVALSAXEL. All right, peace out, y'all.
Cool business.